Well, hi folks, and welcome to the next card in the tarot card series, which is key number 8, strength. And this strength is the great magical agent, the prima materia, the one force. Please do click on subscribe, because I've tried to build the channel up. And also, if you'd like to help out in these difficult times, below in the description is my PayPal account, so click on that and you can make either a one-off or a monthly donation. So our next key is key 8, strength. And you'll know now that we've got to the end of the first row in the tarot tableau with the Chariot, and we're on the first row of the second line, and we're starting off with key 8, strength. Now, we mentioned at the beginning of the series that the first row of the tableau were principles, ideas, and the second row were the laws and agencies by which you would put these principles into force. So underneath the magician, we have strength. We have key 8, the one we're talking about now. So this means that we're using the law or agency of key 8 to put into action the principles in key 1. Key 1, you remember, was the magician. He was all about attention. So that is the principle that we're going to put into play by looking at the law and agency of key 8, which is in fact the one thing. It's strength. And strength is the strength of the one thing, the great magical agents, the prima materia that we spoke of. It's a superconsciousness, as we called it, and it is the one force. It's also, because it is everything, it's unity, which means it's the lovers, key 6. So it's all these things, it's everything, and it's the force, the magical force of that one prima materia that we're going to use to put into force the principle of attention of the magician. Now, to go through the process of learning in the Western mystery tradition, you have to know about this one prima materia, this one all-encompassing force material. But it's not enough to know it. You have to actually be part of it. You have to realize that you are actually part of this whole process, and you have to live it. You have to really see into it and know this with this one spirit. It's about building the inner temple of in your own personality, and it's about it's the same as the inner adytum of the Solomon's temple. It's about building up your own spiritual presence and your own spiritual being. And it's about the words on the emerald tablet of Hermes, which I'll read to you. Now this is very important. It explains it just in one point. So true without falsehood, certain and most true, that which is above is as that which is below, and that which is below is as that which is above, for the performance of the miracles of the one thing. And as all things are from one, by the meditation of one, so are all things have their birth from this one thing by adaptation. So that's saying that there is just one thing in the whole universe, and it's adapted. So everything you see is just an adaptation of this one thing. So I'll go through the symbolization on the card, and then we'll look at how you can implement this in your own lives, what it actually means to you now, today. So looking firstly at the letter, the Hebrew letter, it's Teth, and Teth means snake. And if you look at the shape of the letter itself, it's a coiled serpent. There's a tail sticking up, and the front of the serpent is his head held high and turned to one side. So the letter Teth is actually a picture of a snake. The occult symbol for the knowledge of the great magical agent of life, the life force, is the serpent. So you can see how this all ties in. It's an electric energy that's present and that forms all change. The mode of consciousness that's connected to this card is the intelligence and the secret of works. Jesus said in John 5:30, he said, I do nothing of myself. It is the Father that dwelleth within me. He doth the works. And the Father is this electrical energy, and the change is to the one thing, again, the Father. So the number on the card is number 8. Now, 8 has one thing in common with naught, and naught, as we know, was the fool, the one power. Because if you put your finger on the paper and draw a naught, it's circular. But if you make that circle into a rhythm and do 2, you have the 8. And the infinity sign on one side is an 8. So and this rhythm of the infinity because it carries on forever. And also the rhythm represents this serpent-like vibratory energy that we think we know the whole universe is made up of. Now, if you look at the number 8, you'll see that half of it, as you start drawing it, is an S. So it's a serpent. And the second half of it, when you finish it, is another S. So it's 2 S's, 2 serpents entwined into each other, which makes you think of the caduceus of Hermes. So we're back to the teachings of Hermes again. So we've got 2 intertwined serpents, which is the caduceus of Hermes, and also the figure 8. The whole idea of a serpent was that it was an animal that was infinite, because it shed its skin, and it was thought that because it shed its skin, it was born again and born again and born again. So it represented an infinite creature. Now, the serpent's had a lot of bad press over the years, really, starting from the story of the fall. But when you think about it, this is in the 3rd chapter of Genesis, which says there, the serpent was more subtle than all the other beasts of the fields. So subtle doesn't mean evil, it means it has intelligence, it's clever. Matthew 10:16 again says, be you as wise as serpents. So it's subtle and it's wise. The motion of the serpent is this great magical agent, is the energy, it's the vibratory motion, it's vibration itself, and it's spiral. As you see on so many megalithic sites, there's a spiral representing this universal one force, this electrical energy. And the great initiates over the years have always been called good serpents. Astrologically, it's obvious when you look at the cards that it's assigned to Leo, because it's the lion. And Leo is ruled by the sun, so the source of so much power. And physically, it's assigned to the heart and the back and the spinal cord in the spine. So again, we have the serpentine energy that goes up and down the caduceus, up and down the spine. The scene that is set on the card is an open plain, which again is totally opposite from the previous card, the Chariot, because the Chariot was an enclosed city, a man-made city, and the open plain is untouched. It is a natural environment. And this shows that the law of this card operates everywhere in nature. And also, on the card, you have all of the animal and nature kingdoms present. Obviously, you've got the woman, she's human. You've got the lion, which is the chief of the animal kingdom. You've got the roses around the neck, and also the other flowers and some trees in the background. So that's the vegetable kingdom. And then you've got the ground. And the ground is nothing really but ground down stone, isn't it? So you've got that. And you've got the mountains in the background, which represent the mineral kingdom. So what we're saying here is the force that is operative, this strength, is operative on every plane of the animal and nature kingdom. So you've got the woman, okay. Now, the woman represents the High Priestess, it represents the Empress, and it represents the female on card 6, the Lovers. So it represents subconsciousness. So what we're saying here is that the way to make this life power, this universal energy, to make it work is through your subconscious, through your subconsciousness. That's the way into it. That's the way to make it, to move our environment in the ways that we want it to move. A crown is of flowers. So we're saying this is an organic process, not like the crowns of previous cards that have been metal. This is purely organic. This is natural. This is unadulterated. The infinity sign, which we've already mentioned, is over the head of our woman here, and it's the same infinity sign which we saw over the magician in key 1. So we're making a connection between this infinite life force, which the magician was using as his attention, putting his attention in, and the woman is using this strength to enact the attention, whatever the intention was. Her robe here is pure white. So this is the same as the inner robe of the Fool and of the Magician, and it shows that beneath everything, the wise have a purity of purpose, purity of hope. And as you study, you realise that you need this purity of hope as your intention, and then that's how the results will appear. So she has a purity, light purity, in her robe. Now the chain that she's made is of flowers. Now you can't see it particularly on my card, but on the Rider Waite card, I think you can see a bit better that it's been made into a figure 8. So the roses again are an infinity sign. And the roses we know are desire, as we've said all through this process, and red roses are active desire. And what we have here is a chain that's been made out of those roses. So we're saying that not only is active desire, but it's a system. It's been woven together into a series, into a systematic order. So basically, we're saying our desire is a systematic, woven together plan of visualization, or an actual visualized plan, not just an idea. Now, the lion itself is the king of the beasts, as we've said. It's in the king of the beasts, and it's the lion has always been an alchemical symbol of the great works. So in alchemy, it's all about changing gross humanity into the stone of the wise, or perfected humanity. And that's what the lion represents. In fact, in alchemy, you have 3 different types of lion. You have a green lion, you have a red lion, and you have an old lion. Just the same as you find the Red Lion pub. And there is a reason for this. And that's because a lot of the old lords would be used to this, would be adepts in this teaching. So they would incorporate the lion into their shield, coats of arms. So when a pub was opened on their lands, it would mention the Red Lion from the coat of arms. So what do they mean, the 3 lions? The green lion is, we said, the gross humanity. It's the just base humanity. The red lion is sophisticated humanity. It's humanity which can control itself, which is developed itself. And the old lion is the adept. It's the old wise adept, the mage. The person who understands and lives this unity of the one thing that we're speaking of throughout the card. He knows of this great magical agent and lives it, which is what we're trying to live up to. The lion's red, so that's the sulfur, it's the Mars energy. It's like the red roses. It's active in the process. And the only other thing to say is that the card's yellow, as in the Fool and as in the Magician. So in this way, we have an indication, again, of this one thing, this life force. So that's the symbolism of the card. So how can we bring this into our day-to-day being? What does it mean to us right now at this moment? And what can we do with it? Well, the first thing to do is to look at the card. Look into the card for 5 minutes a day. Understand the basic principle that everything is one spirit. Everything is the one power. The only substance that exists in our reality is this one substance, and see it in all its forms around you. Nothing is unspiritual, therefore, as the one pure spirit is in fact all that exists. So if you think something's unspiritual, then it can't exist. That's another reason not to fear, isn't it, really? Nothing has ever been added to this one material. All the power that ever was or will be is here now. So if nothing's ever been added, it means that creation is still happening. There wasn't a creation that once happened. Creation is continuous, a continuous process. And what we're learning to do is to have our share of creation, to be able to manipulate creation in the ways that are going to be manifestly well and good for us and for others. So you need to get to the point where you can see this magical substance. You need to be able to see it and experience it on your everyday life. Like I said, it's not enough just to know that it exists. You need to be able to get to the point where you're a magician in your own right and you can see this magical substance in everything around you. Admitting to your consciousness only those things you wish to become manifest. Because we know that whatever you think about, whatever you dwell on, whichever you picturize, will eventually at some point manifest. It's a natural flow of nature. It's the law of the one thing. It is the law of the strength card. So this means as well, don't judge other people. Don't gossip. Matthew 7:1-2, judge not that you will not be judged, for whatever judge, you shall be judged, and with the measure you meet, it shall be measured against you. So this is just saying again, whatever you think of, whatever you have in your mind, will manifest in your life. So you have to formulate your mental pictures very clearly and think about what you're going to manifest, because this is what you will pass into subconsciousness, and which will eventually become manifest. Avoid denying negative appearances. This just gives energy to the reinforcement. I think you know what I'm saying. Keep your mind into what you want. Don't dwell on what is negative, because negative will appear in your life. So see things as the magician. Be the magician that you're going to be. See through appearances. I've said throughout this series, look deeply into things. And now it'll become more clear what I mean. Look deeply into every single thing you see. See it with all your senses. See things, hear it, see it, hear it, smell it, touch it, taste it. See right in, and you'll see that it is one thing. And this is the story of the whole of the tarot. This one thing. Knowing isn't enough. You have to live it, live the knowledge. You have to have it as so much part of your being that it's just as natural as any other thing. The Kundalini is part of this energy force. Now the Kundalini is an electric energy which lies dormant or almost dormant in the base of the spine. But make no effort ever to awaken this energy, because it is very, very dangerous to do so. And this is another mistake that is often made. Your life can be ruined if you forcefully awaken this Kundalini energy before you're ready to. But the thing is, as you continue this process, learn the ancient mysteries, learn the ancient wisdoms through the tarot, which is what you're doing now, as your aspirations become more positive and higher in nature, then you'll notice that this latent power will slowly and safely awaken itself. The Bhagavad Gita says the secret of right works is to have no attachment to results as well. This is another important point. So avoid anxiety. It's another good reason to avoid anxiety, because whatever you're anxious about, the subconscious will see as a desire to fail. So if you're saying, I want such a thing, and you visualize it and you're very anxious, your subconscious will think, oh, well, obviously this magician doesn't really want it to happen, otherwise he wouldn't be so anxious about it. So work from the understanding that the one thing means you won't have to worry about any results. All the universal law, this universal law we're talking about, this happens anyway. It's always in operation. This creation always happens. So you don't have to be involved with it, or you don't have to be anxious about it. But there is a strange paradox in the ancient mysteries. And the paradox is this. You don't have to worry. You don't have to strain or work hard to implement this law, because it happens anyway. And you don't have to put any effort into it. But the paradox is that to start with, you have to act as if you're putting effort into it. So you have to formulate yourself and formulate your ideas and positively make the visualization and put it into effect. But eventually, you'll realize that there is no effort really required, because the magical agent, as I said before, is like the river flowing from the High Priestess dress. It flows, see it flowing into you and flowing out of you. So you don't really have to put any effort into it. All you have to do is let it flow in, change it to your visualization, and let it flow out. It's as easy as that. So let's learn to use the strength of the one force to help us in our magician's life of attention. So as I said, please click on subscribe and on the little bell as well. I'm trying to build the channel. And any donations from a PayPal account in these difficult times would be more than appreciated. It's in the description below. And I'll see you in the next next video in the tarot series.